Hey guys, Bittersteel here, back with another video, and we're taking another look at the dev diaries for Barbarossa, and whew, this is a wild one, so bear with me. Well, first up, it's a small rework, well, an extensive rework of the states. So the Baltic states are no longer single or dual state entities. No, they've given them a bunch of different states, so this makes for a lot more interesting gameplay in terms of supply and occupation, and gives them a lot more build slots as well. This is going to make the Baltic states a lot stronger if they can manage to hold out against the Soviet Union or the Germans. So yeah, it's a nice tidbit, but there is a lot more to this dev diary than just this. Let's start out with the Estonians, the Estonian focus tree. We've already highlighted their economic branch and the shared Soviet branch. However, there is more to it than that, and that brings us to the two political branches available to the Estonians. On the one side, we have the Era of Silence, where it's the historical path following Konstantin Pets, and on the right side we have Rally the Nation, which is pretty much the fascist branch for Estonia. So let's take a deeper look at just what those branches offer. They do look very extensive, and it does look like they are very into decisions for Estonia as well. If you're going to a non-aligned dictatorship where you stand with pets, whatever, you will have to deal with the fascist movement called VAPS. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these pronunciations. I'm not Estonian. I don't know how to pronounce any of this, so I'm doing my best here. At any rate, if you are going the non-aligned dictatorship route, you will have to deal with the fascists who are planning a march on the capital. And you will slowly have to whittle down support for the fascists using these decisions. Yeah, it could be interesting, I guess. I'm not a huge fan of this. I like to play the game and not just click buttons, but we'll see how it works out in the end. One major upside of this part of the tree is that you will have access to some powerful bonuses for your economy and internal stability, and stability is nice because, well, nobody likes to be below 50% stability when you're fighting a war. So that has my interest peaked. And all the way at the end, you will have the option to restore democratic rule to Estonia and finally break the silence. So yeah, you'll need to beat the communists and the fascists into submission while upholding your democratic values. Yeah, it could be fun if you're into playing democracy, I guess. On the other side, we can squash all opposition and elevate the non-aligned party or glorious dictatorship above all others. And this is pretty much just continuing the dictatorship, which could be cool. I don't know. I'm not very versed in in Estonian politics of the 1930s, so if this is at all historical, tell me, because I really don't know. I'm interested, I want to try it out, but I don't know what to think about this. It does seem like this part of the tree is less about war goals and more about building up your own strength. And looking by the icons here, formalize the Baltic Entente and look north, it will be about drawing other countries into a faction with you. So much like the previously discussed Soviet tree, this one also has access to some political shenanigans. Now, if you want to fight, however, there's also the right side of the tree, the VAPS movement, where pretty much like the UK, if you want to flip to Mosley, you can do a series of marches to boost fascist support in the nation until you are ready to march on the capital and install your fascist regime. Again, more decisions, not my thing, but I guess it's better than having abstract national spirits that slowly take up over time. What I like about this part of the tree though is it is very much focused on preparing the nation and the army for war. You have very powerful bonuses, and looking at some of these things like extra recruitable population, that is going to be a godsend for a country as small as Estonia. And yeah, I think with mobilize the veterans giving you more divisions, I think that's what I read, it could be a very powerful path if you want to go on the warpath early. Not only that, if you want to get really absurd, once you've secured Estonia for your far-right veterans, you can reach out to your friends in Finland and do the same there. It looks like you can hold your marches over there and then march on Helsinki and install a fascist regime just the same, which is funny. I don't think it's all that historically accurate though. I don't think Mannerheim's gonna let this happen, but hey, it's a game, so we'll see. I mean, I'm getting the feeling that these focus trees are all about memeing. Alt history memes right here. And the alt history memes continue. So yeah, as Estonia, fascist Estonia that is, you get to take over or befriend Finland. I don't know if you actually take over or just, you know, create a faction together. That's still unclear to me, but it looks like you get to do some serious expansion up north. It looks like the Finnish Estonian Supremacy League is a faction, where Unite Our Nations is annexing the Finns and becoming something new. The left side here has you, well, securing Swedish assets. This is pretty much war goals against the Nordics and expanding via force. And the right side is eating Finland and getting ready to duke it out with the Soviet Union and getting yourself some cores along the way. It looks like Karelia, the Sami people of the north of Scandinavia. So if you're into memes, oh boy, this DLC is gonna be for you. Just look at that Nordic empire. So yeah, if Estonia ever conquers the Nordics and completes the Estonia is Scandinavia focus, you will be able to restore the Nordic League, or Nordic Empire in this case. Though I think you need Waking the Tiger for the full mobilization. I'm not sure though. I am amused. I am very amused. And the other side of that short tree I just showed you, yeah, Finno-Ugra. This is you joining forces with Finland and becoming one new nation. And oh boy, oh boy. I'm not even gonna comment on that. Just look at this picture and let that sink in for a minute. That's Estonia. Estonia did that. Okay, let's move on to something a little less absurd, shall we? Latvia. Latvia has a slightly more comprehensive focus tree than Estonia. It all starts at suspending the constitution of Latvia. And from here, you will have to make difficult decisions. Your focus tree is split in half, basically a military and civilian government, which may or may not merge into one depending on just what path you take. And of course, each path has some more divergences. So the democratic path, or your civilian government, has to choose between renewing the current prime minister's term, Kvisis? Again, I don't know how to pronounce any of this, or appoint, well, some sort of marshal as prime minister. I believe that's the historical path. They fired the Farmers' Party prime minister and replaced him with a marshal because they needed to appease the military in the face of Soviet aggression. Yeah, a lot of good that did them, but enough about that. On the left side, this guy will lead to a focus tree that will mostly bolster your economy, so civilian economy, trade laws, stability, that sort of stuff, while the marshal prime minister will mostly focus on improving the military industry and the army. So choices will have to be made. The focus tree does look interesting, though we don't know what these focuses do. I suspect they will focus mostly on getting the country up and running for a fight. This is a close-up of the military branch. It does look interesting. I like the decisions that you'll have to make. I don't know what these focuses will do, so we'll have to wait for that. But at the end here is another interesting choice. You will have to make a choice here. Will you keep the current president and empower the office of the president some more, leading to a somewhat more stable Latvia? Or will you instead install a military dictatorship, and will the marshal simply seize power? Who knows, but I like his suit. I like his suit. Though all these new portraits do seem kind of shiny to me. Is that just me? I don't know. Now the other side of the branch, where you keep your, your Farmers' Party prime minister in place, also has a bunch of focuses. They look pretty interesting, and they have options aplenty. At the end, once again, a choice will have to be made. Either you will restore public elections and open up a democratic route to Latvia, or empower the dictatorship by simply integrating the Farmers' Party, keeping your president in his seat. And considering the face of this man, I'd rather keep the other president in his seat. That's not the face of a man I trust. Anyway, we also have the military side of the Latvian government, where you need to either suppress the fascists or collaborate with the fascists. So yeah, if you want to flip brown shirt, this is the way to do it. And look at that absolute chunker. It looks like we'll be getting a lot of factories, a lot of bonuses, and a lot of options for Latvia. Especially in regards to Germany, you'll get a lot of choices here. I like this focus tree. Let's start off with the more democratic option here, where you suppress the paramilitary organizations. So you'll start suppressing the fascists, and you will start reaching out to the more democratically aligned paramilitary organizations, giving you certain bonus, such as allowing women to serve in the military. Alright, pretty good. And because they couldn't make a country without decisions, apparently, you'll have to play another game of balancing politics via the use of decisions to keep this fascist party or fascist group under control while you try and integrate them. If you make them too powerful, they might cause a civil war, but you'll need to keep them at a certain level of power, so you'll be able to integrate them and get some bonuses out of it. So yeah, I'm not too excited about these mechanics. Like, I don't like decisions. I really don't like decisions. It takes away from a lot of the aspects of HoI4, and I don't think they have to be so prominent in these countries. I don't like this direction. But if you do, that's fine. Tell me in the comments. I'm always eager to find out what people want. As for the fascist branch, it looks like the Perkonkrusts we just discussed are part of this branch, but you have the option of going slightly fascist or going full-on hardcore fascism right on the right side, which makes sense. They are far right. Let's see, if you make it all the way down here to anti-German propaganda without triggering a civil war, you simply integrate those fascists you've been courting into your government, and bada bing bada boom, no more risk of civil war, and you get to keep all the bonuses they give you. So make it here and you won't have to worry about those on-map decisions anymore. A min-maxing balancing act, I guess. The bonuses are nice though. However, what if you don't want your fascism light, but you want the real deal? Luckily for you, there are other options. There are some very nice focuses associated with those options as well. If you make it down here, towards the thunder roars alone, without triggering that civil war, oh boy, this is where that fascist party will take over the government, and things go crazy. For starters, the Germans really don't like that, apparently. And by crazy, I mean war goals, war goals, war goals. The lightning strikes, and you demand the annexation of Lithuania and Estonia. So my guess is by this point you might want to have a strong army at the ready, because they might say no. Who knows? Who knows? And as if all that was not crazy enough, you get to play as a religious cult, essentially, if you play the Perkonkrusts. Yeah, because they view Christianity as a weak and foreign religion, you get to be neo-pagan. So yeah, you will adopt neo-paganism as a state religion, and if you go anti-German, that national spirit is going to be upgraded as you progress down the focus tree, eventually becoming exceedingly powerful. So that's gonna be a very nice boost to Latvia. Super crazy, but I love it. If, however, you don't want to go anti-German and instead want to go pro-German, well, you're gonna be bending the knee, I'm afraid, but you do get to keep a lot of territory for the Germans as Reichskommissariat Ostland. You get to keep the Baltics, and they give you a slice of Belarus, so I mean, there's something in the deal for you. I'm not sure if this will actually make you a puppet. It's not very clear on that, but I don't really see why you'd want to do this in single player, though in multiplayer it might actually be interesting to have somebody play. And then finally, because we need more crazy, Lithuania. Let's go. And once again, the Lithuanian tree is absolutely massive, and with most of it being alt history, I don't even want to know how much time they spent on this. Like, I love myself some alt history, but I think they went a little overboard for these Baltic countries. But hey, if you like it, let me know in the comments. So for starters, the Lithuanians can either appoint a military prime minister, that's the historical path, or you can assign a priest. So Deus vult, my brothers, Deus vult. And no matter which option they choose, the historical branch will focus on presidential reform. So the goal will be to put the station or the office of the president above party politics, so that if you are successful, party popularity will no longer impact your nation's stability like it does in a regular game, and you will instead gain a flat amount of stability. So it will be easier to keep your country stable no matter what your internal politics are. That's actually pretty cool as a concept. Gotta give it to him. That's pretty cool. So a dictator that doesn't need to worry about party politics. And there's some more options in terms of a foreign policy here. Mostly centering around Poland and the Soviet Union, with the really interesting bit here with the Soviet Union is if you go this route, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact will actually see the Soviets give you Wilno as part of the deal. And you don't even have to go full-on communist to get this, so that could be interesting, depending on what your goals for your campaign are, because peace with Poland might be a good deal instead, but we'll have to see what all the focuses do to get a really clear picture about this. But I like this concept. I like this concept of land being traded around for political favors. And of course, a nation like Lithuania, that is so close to Germany and the Soviets, will have to deal with its extremists and point the nation in the right direction towards the true enemy. And if you can see that flag, you know who the true enemy is. And because no nation is complete without a fascist branch, apparently, here we go. We can either exile or free Voldemaras. That looks like a cheap budget version of Voldemort. Apparently this man used to be a prime minister, and now he's in jail, so you can either let him go or send him on his way. If you let him go, well, you can slowly start turning the nation fascist, which makes sense, and if you send him on your way, that is more of the democratic path. And if you choose the route of the Voldemort, you get some very nice bonuses, some pretty cool expansion options, especially if you side with the Germans. I'm seeing claims here on Vilnius, Livonia. You can request Polish occupation, or you can support a Polish, just straight up invade Poland, why not? Lay claim to Lower Lithuania. So this is a very expansionist branch. I'm interested to see just how up to the task Lithuania is going to be, because Lithuania is pretty tiny, and I'm guessing you'll need a lot of land to proclaim Greater Lithuania here. Speaking of a lot of land, yeah, that's your Greater Lithuania with your tiny Lithuanian Poland there. It's interesting, but again, it's another meme path. It feels like with every DLC, we are straying further and further from the core of Hearts of Iron 4, which is a World War II style conflict, and it's more EU4 and what ifs. But as long as people have fun, that's what matters. And I'm sure this could be fun. This could definitely be fun. And speaking of fun, a king for our people, hallelujah, we have a monarchist path. I know I'm gonna play this one. So you can invite the son of the duly elected king of Lithuania, Mindaugas III, the man with a funny hat. Let's see what the man with the funny hat can do for us, shall we? So apparently, as monarchist Lithuania, we will have access to the same minigame that Poland does in regards to annexing Lithuania, but we get to do it in reverse and wheedle our way into Polish politics to restore the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, with Lithuania being the senior partner in the deal this time. Though I imagine it's not going to be quite as easy as clicking a few decisions, considering the size difference between Poland and Lithuania. But it does look good on the map, I'll tell you that. Funny enough, if both Poland and Lithuania go monarchist, both nations will be allowed to decide how they wish to move forward. Yeah, you can either reject each other and go to war, or unite peacefully and stand as friends. Knowing the AI, I think I know where this is going. probably. And it looks like there are more shared focuses in these branches, just like in the previous dev diary. And yeah, it looks like these are focused on the democratic nations. If enough nations in the Baltics become democratic, you can start building yourself a little alliance. Formalize the Baltic Entente and look north. It seems like this is about forming a very large faction centered around the Baltic states and the Scandinavian states. And if enough countries are democratic, this Baltic Economic Union could prove to be pretty powerful. Though it's going to depend on what all these focuses do, but seeing propose a Baltic Union here, it seems like you can either get one Baltic superstate or you get a bunch of puppets or a faction. I don't know what this means, but it's probably going to be quite powerful, especially if it's anything like the Benelux decisions and focus. It's just gonna be super overpowered. Click a button and get like a bunch of countries for free. What I do like about this is they are putting in effort for exiled governments. So if you're playing this historically, there will be a nice exiled government branch in the tree, giving you off-map factories and some weekly manpower, making you able, or making the AI able to contribute something to the war effort, even if they have been gobbled up like they will be historically. And again, this could be very fun for a multiplayer campaign. So you have something to do if you want to play one of those countries. Assuming people are allowed to play those countries in competitive modes. And you know, if resisting isn't your thing, you can simply choose to appease the Russians or the Germans and offer basing rights, essentially just giving up your country. Offer basing rights was the first step towards total annexation of the Baltic states, where the Baltic states gave the Soviets the right to establish a few bases and keep troops there, and that quickly spiraled into full-blown occupation that lasted for a lot longer than they were anticipating. So yeah, this is gonna be a path where you simply give up and go home. I'm guessing this is gonna be the historical path for the AI, though I'm not sure. We'll see. And this is where the dev diary ends. All in all, I'm excited as a player. I like the options that we're given. I like that we don't have to take all of the absurd routes, but we can. We have the option. I'm a little apprehensive though at all the meme paths being included in this, and it feels like more attention was given to alt history than to, you know, just a good historical experience and polishing up what's already there. Again, time will have to tell if it works out. I have a feeling Barbarossa is going to be a massive patch and DLC, so it would be unfair to already judge it by now, but let's say I'm excited, but I have my reservations. I like alt history. I don't need too much of it in my historical World War II simulator. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, leave a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload more content. If you didn't like it, that's fine. Tell me in the comments what I did wrong. I'm always looking to learn. And above all, tell me what you think of these dev diaries. Tell me what you think of these Baltic nations. Tell me in the comments. I am very, very interested to know what the community thinks about this. Anyway, this has been me, Bittersteel. Have a good one. Goodbye.